The coefficients of all changes of dimensions of given masses would be in equilibrium at all times as equal totals of the universal constant. The attraction of gravitation in favoring the generation of energy is enabling electricity to accumulate as mass. All mass consists of energy accumulated by the attraction of gravitation into the appearance of form. All form is held together more or less closely by the relative force of gravitation, which accompanies mass of various dimensions and relations. The law for big mass is the same as that for the little mass. The law of gravitation, which maps out the orbits of the light units within the atom, is exactly the same as that which maps out the orbits of a planet of a solar system. In considering the effects of gravitation, it is difficult to project one's mind beyond the confines of this solar system. In fact, one's observations and experiences are so purely local that one's mind is rather closely bound to the effects of gravitation upon this planet alone. It is difficult to realize that this solar system is on a large scale but the repetitive effect of an atom of iron or manganese. It is difficult to realize that the planetary masses within the atom of iron have as relatively great a variation of ability to attract and to repel as have the planets of our solar system. It is also difficult to realize that our whole solar system is subject to the gravitational pull of the north overtone point of the wave of which it is but one atom. Science considers the attraction of gravitation of the solar system as an entirely different effect from the effect of motion within an atomic system. Atomic motion is presumed to be non-subject to the laws of gravitation. Science names one gravitation and the other an electric effect. Both effects are the same. Also are both effects born of the same conditions. Within an atom, the planets move in the planes of the orbits of their proper and changing pressures in a constant endeavor to find the proper pressures of their changing potentials, exactly as do the planets of a solar system. Until it is very near the nuclear sun, the charging light units of a generative atom does not take a shortcut across lots through higher pressures to fall crashing into its sun, any more than does the charging light units of a solar system. It contracts gradually as it falls spirally toward the sun, and its potential, equilibrium, pressure, and melting point constantly rise as it falls. Nor does the discharging light unit of a degenerative atom take a shortcut across lots through lowering pressures to break suddenly and explosively into a tenuous cloud at the inertial plane of disappearance at the furthermost bounds of its wave cycle. It leaves its nuclear sun with great force until it finds its proper potential. Then it expands gradually as it falls spirally away from its sun, its potential, equilibrium pressure, and melting point constantly lowering as it falls. If the movements of planets and satellites are effects of gravitation, and the same effects in smaller mass are electrical effects, why do smaller masses exactly follow the laws of the larger masses? The light units of an atom seem independent of the Earth's gravitational center, but actually they are not. All are revolving true to the planes of their respective potentials. The moons of Jupiter do exactly the same thing in respect to the solar gravitative center of this system, yet they are not considered an electrical effect. They fall toward the sun and away from it, with the same apparent disregard that light units of a system evidence in respect to other masses outside their own systems. Even their accelerations and decelerations are affected by causes other than by whether they are moving toward the sun or away from it. A later volume will precisely chart the swirling drift of the so-called ether of space within and outside of the solar ecliptic area. This drift carries the planets of the solar system with it as relentlessly as particles are carried in the swirling eddies of a rushing stream. All effects of gravitation are electric effects, and all effects of radiation are magnetic effects. All effects of motion are electromagnetic effects. All mass has a series of gravitative centers toward which it evidences its allegiance in the order of its potential relation. As a private in the Army takes his orders from an under-officer, whose group in turn moves as a unit under command of a higher officer, and so on until the entire army is coordinated under the command of one supreme officer, so does low potential obey the gravitational commands of low potential, and various states of accumulated potential obey the gravitational commands of accumulated potential, and so on until the entire mass is coordinated under one supreme gravitative center. Every wave of energy constructs resisting pressure walls between its south and north planes, and no mass can disregard these pressures. Within each wave of energy, all mass moves from low to high and back again to low potential, as a marble follows a groove, or as a train follows a track, or as a brook finds the sea. Let us consider each effect, that of falling and rising, as both gravitative and radiative, as also electric and magnetic. An apple falling to the ground is an inductive electrical effect. It falls to the ground because gravitation attracts it to the ground. The positive charge of the apple seeks the greater positive charge of the earth. The falling apple charges the planet by induction, which raises the planet's potential. The greater proximity of the masses also raises the planet's potential. The induced positive charge of the apple continues centrifugally in the generated flow toward the center of the planet. The resistance to the assimilation of the apple's positive charge by the planet registers itself in the exact amount of heat which left the apple. The absorption of the apple's heat, contraction pressure, potential, and electropositive charge is an electrical effect of discharge of the apple and an added charge to the planet. It is an exothermic effect in respect to the apple, an endothermic effect in respect to the planet. The absorption of the apple's electric potential by the planet is a gravitational effect because the apple and the planet mutually attract each other, and it is also an electric effect because of the absorption of the positive charge of one by the other. Both apple and planet fall toward each other. If the apple were as large and as dense as the planet, both would move toward each other with equal speed. The apple is so small and the planet so large that the deviation of the Earth's path is negligible. Not so with a body like the moon, however, which materially affects the Earth's orbit as the two unequal partners whirl in their celestial dance. Returning to the apple and the planet, as the positive charge of the apple continues its centrifugal journey toward the center of the planet, the negative discharge of the apple expands towards disappearance in the opposite direction. One falls, the other rises. It is the positive charge which falls, and the negative discharge which rises. The positive charge falls towards positive charge, expelling negative discharge as radioactive emanations. If positive charge falls toward positive charge, it is logical to say that the principle which governs positive charge alone has the ability to attract.